Hopefully everybody can hear me. Ooh, that was a nice light blowout. So for the sake of the replay, I'm just going to start talking, and we'll see if people pop in. And if they don't, ooh, look, it's Mickey. But anyway, so I'm going to start talking. So as you can see, I am not in the box truck right now. The temperature in Ashland has been going over 100 degrees. We're in like a serious heat wave this week, and have been in a cycle of very extreme temperatures. Felix, you're making a lot of noise over there. Little cat. And so, for the safety of my pets, I decided to look into another option for us. And it's more for the pets than me, because, like, the cats have to be home all day while I'm at work. And since I'm working at Oregon Shakespeare Festival right now, I wanted to protect them. And so I was able to work out staying in this little tiny house right here, at least to deal with the heat wave. I do have a little, I have an AC unit. I've been meaning to make a video about it forever. I've been meaning to make a video about it, but the AC unit can knock off about like 20 degrees on a good day when it's not really hitting. So if the temperature gets to 120 degrees, I'm still at 100, and on a good day, I was maybe getting it down to 90. So I had to protect the pets. I had to protect me from the heat wave, and so I luckily was able to work out a situation where I was able to come indoors. And I act like I feel like I'm indoors in my box truck. It was very reluctant. I actually do miss my house. I mean, obviously there are advantages to being in a quote-unquote normal house versus a van or RV or a rig. Obviously there are, unlimited running water. Even though I had access to water, it still would run out and I would have to refill, because I don't have a direct line in that I can use for water. So obviously things like running water, it has electricity, like all those things are nice, but I still kind of miss my house, but this is better for all of us right now. And so, yeah, we're staying in a little kind of tiny house situation at the moment. So yeah, that's what we're doing right now. And especially, it's better for the cats because I get to go to work. So I'm in there. I have all of their air conditioning and buildings and all that other kind of stuff. And they're just kind of stuck in the box truck when I'm at work. And so it was much better to find a situation more healthy for them. So yeah, that explains why I'm sitting in a place that's not the box truck for anybody who watches this as a live replay. I saw a lot of the chat came in while I was talking. So I'm going to look back at the chat. What's up, Julie? Hi, Scott. It says hi, Dawn, Mickey, Felix. Dystopian Bandero says, "Oh, I see a little gray tail." So they're both here. Okay, there they are. Ew, what are you doing? You got your leg all open. There's Felix. Now Felix is kicking his leg up. Why are you guys exposing yourself on the YouTubes? Huh? Like that. He's like, no, why bother? But they both are. Look how big Felix is getting. He's getting to be such a big boy. He's still a little floppy kitten, but he's getting to be such a big boy. Anyway. Nancy McIntyre says, "Hey Dawn, how are you? I've been missing you for a while. Nice to see you." I'm good. I'm just tired. I've been working a lot more on the tail end of my contract than I was even on the beginning of my contract. So I'm the primary production assistant for Tempest. I am also the production assistant for Confederates, which just started rehearsal. Tempest is performing right now. Confederates is in rehearsal. And in a few weeks or so, it'll be into tech tech is what you do between coming out of rehearsal and going into performances. And during tech, you're just adding the tech into everything that you've been rehearsing. And then on top of that, I am learning another show so that if somebody goes out, I can cover that show backstage. So, a lot going on right now. But anyway. Nancy McIntyre says, who is he? Felix. Felix is the little gray cat that I adopted. He's Mickey's little brother. So I have two cats now. Jogbird says, how well insulated is your truck? There is a whole video on how I insulated the truck. But the thing is, it's like 120 degrees. You know? It's 120 degrees. But there's a whole video in my build playlist about the insulation on the truck. I would have, if it was cold right now, I would have no problems. This heat is just, it's like in buildings if you don't have AC. Like they have opened up cooling shelters for people who live in houses. Like that's how bad the heat is. Like if you live in a house, they're asking you to leave your house if it does not have air conditioning and come to the cooling shelter so that you don't have or die or get affected by the heat wave. So this is pretty serious heat. So yeah, and sometimes a metal box on wheels is not the best thing to be in this kind of heat, especially on a consistent basis. Jupiter Star Galaxy says, heat waves here in Florida too. Me and the kids have a spot that we chill at all day in the air and take breaks once. We gather all the snacks and juice and devices and get to work. I will say I have been grateful for my freezer. By the way, my freezer broke and I had to replace it, but that had nothing to do with the heat wave. That thing has been on its last legs for a while. But I was grateful for the freezer because I had me some Otter Pops, and Otter Pops help so much sometimes. Just to like feel like my personal body temperature was going down a little bit. Rob, what's up? Says it's crazy hot in Oregon. Been soaking my shirt in the sink to keep cool at work with no AC. Man, that sucks, man. So I thank you, Chanel. Did I miss something? Alberta and Stella says, better safe than sorry with your fur babies. Yes, true. Audrey says, finally cooled down from 110. Ew. Oh. Cat Muhammad says, Felix is huge. He's going to be a grown man soon. I know, he's getting so big. And I, like, introduced him as this tiny kitten in Alive. I never introduced my pets properly. Like, I'm just doing Alive, and suddenly I have a new pet. And then people are like, wait, when did that happen? And I meant to do a whole proper video, and it didn't happen. That's my life. That's this channel. I don't even know what to say. Jupiter Star Galaxy says, my refrigerator has been going in and out due to the heat. I have to leave the windows cracked. Wow. D says at 120 degrees, it doesn't matter how well insulated, it's going to be hot unless you have super oversized AC for the... Exactly. Like, my AC would work fine in, like, 80 degrees. Like, the AC unit I have, it's one of those portable units that you can use for, like, an apartment and run the hose out the window. And if it was, like, 80 degrees, I'd be comfortable in there. At 120 degrees... does not matter. Like there, it's just too hot for me to control like the temperature in that space, and it's certainly too hot for me to be leaving the truck for hours with two animals in there. So I had to look for another solution. And my biggest thing was like there's a lot I can moderate if I am physically in the box truck all day with the cats. I can take them out, I can take us out, I can take us somewhere else. But I have to be here. I have to be here for work, and the box truck has to be here. So, like, driving away from the heat is not a possibility. So that means I have to be able to leave them somewhere while I'm at work where I know they'll be safe. And at 120 degrees, the box truck was no longer a safe space. So I had to do what I had to do. And that is one of the things you have to deal with when you decide to have pets in a vehicle dwelling situation. Sometimes I will tough it out like an idiot. I will admit I would have been an idiot and be like, nah, I'm gonna deal with this. But because I have them, I feel like a higher obligation to protecting them. Because they are 100% affected by my decisions. They can't decide to make a different decision or be somewhere else, or like take themselves to the library and walk around for an hour. Like, they can't make those decisions independently. And so there are times where I have to compromise or be more aware because I have to worry about them. So yeah. Purpletta, thank you for the $20 super chat. Penny in Kentucky says, glad you and the kitties were able to get out of the heat. It's been a rough July heat-wise. Yes, it has. I cannot wait. You know, I will take a winter in the box truck because I can warm that place up. I swear. I can warm that place up. But this heat is just like unforgiving. Nancy McIntyre, thank you for the $5 super chat. A little something to get you some more pops. Thank you so much. Sadie Louise says, my mom told me I could come up to her house where she has AC and stay. I told her I had 7 pets, and she said, oh, never mind. It is all about keeping them cool. Exactly. Like I said, for me, I would tough it out. And I have noticed, like, just working with other people, that maybe because I've lived van life for so long, and specifically because I started living into my car because I didn't have anywhere else to live. So I came from, like, homelessness to houselessness by choice. So I made that transition. But the thing is, like, having had to deal with it being a little bit uncomfortable, it takes a lot to make me actually uncomfortable. So I notice a lot of other people, their barriers to feeling hot and feeling cold are much lower than mine. Like, I can deal with a lot more heat than most people, I'm realizing, because, like, I was backstage with the other show, and they're not outside. So what they call hot, I'm like, this would be a nice day for us. Like, and also, like, one of the other stage managers is highly sensitive to cold, and I'm like, this is not. So, like, I can deal with a lot on both ends of the spectrum, but even for me, there's a point where it becomes too extreme. But I think I have adapted to the fact of not having temperature control most of the time. So it has to get pretty extreme for me personally to be affected. So yeah, it's definitely something I've noticed being around people who are more used to being able to temperature control their personal spaces. So yeah. James Sherman says, wow, the inside of your truck looks nice. This is not the inside of my truck. Dystopian Bandero says, van life, you need to be flexible. Been doing it about 3 years. I agree. Seeking Joy Now, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Says, more money for the Pops Fund. It's all about those little ice pops. Like, those are the best because you can just throw them in the freezer. They're not that many calories. And, you know, it's just a nice, quick, cool snack that'll kind of bring your body temperature down. Simply C says, what do your new work friends think of the nomadic lifestyle? The people who've known about it, like, they've been curious about it, but, like, there's been no negative reactions. Like, there are people who are very curious, people who've, like, asked to follow me on my Instagram. I don't know how much they actually pay attention to it, or, like, have asked me about my YouTube channel if it came up in conversation, because it came up just, like, and stuff. I don't go around like, here is my YouTube channel. Like, I don't do that at work, but there's been times where it's come up, or, like, actually, one of the guys on props, he's also a van life, or a former van lifer. He has a house now, but he has one of the, like, the T1 Sprinters. So that was like when they had the Dodge Sprinter. And so he has that and he built it out. He's like, unfortunately now I'm living in like a house. And so he's moved back into a house, and somebody else I met, their significant other does van life. So he like stays in his van when he comes to see her. So it's been interesting when the conversation has come up. Most people felt like it was, really cool. A lot of people were shocked at the beginning of the season that I was staying in the box truck, as opposed to getting some other type of housing while I was working. But I was like, no, I'm perfectly comfortable in there. I don't really see a reason to. So yeah, it's been a cool. Everybody's been cool about it, and let's be honest, like these are like artists, so even when they're surprised and they're curious, they're used to weird. Artists are weird, and I love them. That's why. Pugs and Guns and Things says, my biggest fear is leaving my dogs alone in the trailer in heat with the AC on and generator backup ready to go, if I lose shore power. Yeah. And like I had a power plug that I could hook up, and that was actually how I was running the AC, but it was the batteries were also having a hard time like charging in the heat, and the way I had things hooked up, I don't have an immediate switch over for everything else. So that battery was also struggling in the heat, and charging it actually causes more heat. So like, and my battery is the Jackery, but either way, like putting that kind of heat and pressure on the system to even like run other things, it was too much. The vehicle needs a break to be able to be off. I emptied the fridge. I have all of my fridge and freezer stuff in here right now. So the fridge is off, the freezer is off, everything is shut down. And I think sometimes it's good for the vehicle to have that moment of shutdown as well. So yeah, it's just better. This was the better solution instead of trying to do everything. Because I have a generator, but I'm not going to run it in their backyard. So it's not like I have a spot where I could even run a generator all day. And have that on as sort of like a security system. It's because I'm in their backyard. So, I mean, the good thing is the box truck is right out there. Like, it's literally a couple of steps away. But I'm not in like an RV spot that's very secluded. I'm in a neighborhood. I can't run the generator, and and I only had like a 120 cord running from their house. So I don't have 30 amp, I don't have 50 amp. I have just one little standard power cord running to the box truck, and the demands I was putting on that was too much. And so the smartest thing for me to do if there was another solution was to do what I did. And so I did, I know. Sadie Louise, thank you so much for reminding everybody to hit the like button. It does help the channel. I wanted to have an edited video for today about the situation, but I spent, the 2 days I had to edit getting us moved over to here, because it was like, oh, I need clothes and I need all the cats things, and I had to set up a litter box, and it was just a lot of things. It was like, okay, this is stuff I need for me, this is stuff I need for the cats, blah blah blah. It's always like I'm literally moving my living space, so it wasn't just grab some clothes and move over here. I had to shut down the fridge, move the food over, decide what. I didn't even grab a lot of the food from the cabinet, because I'm like, if there's really something over here I want, I'll just walk out the door and grab it. Which was kind of annoying, because sometimes it's like, that's in the box truck. Do I feel like going to the box truck to get it? Tumblebug says, generally speaking, urban people are more accustomed to climate-controlled environments. Here in Lake County, Northern California, as long as I have shade, moving air, and I don't have to work, I'm okay. And I agree. Like, if I wasn't obligated to a job right here, my solution would have been to drive somewhere else. But that's the thing. And I was thinking about it today. So it's not hard to have pets and live van life if you have control of your schedule. So either you work online, you're retired, you have savings, because if you need to make a move to protect you and your pets, you can. It's not hard to have a job and do van life, because when I had a job, even in urban environments, and I was used to urban environments, and I had a van, it wasn't that big of a deal. I went to work during the day. It didn't matter that the van was empty during the day because nobody was in there. It was completely empty while I was away. So before I had pets, I mean. But the combination of the three can be really hard. Like if you have a job, you live in a van, and you have pets, that changes a lot of situations. If you have a location-based job, I should say, not if you have a job, but if you have a location-based job where at least some part of your day schedule is controlled by someone else, and on top of that, your location is controlled by someone else. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my job. It's worked out for me. But if I had to say, like, the combination of the three is really what's difficult. Like, if you live van life and you have pets, but you don't have a standard job where you are obligated to leave your vehicle or be in an area and be unable to move from that area, then it can be hard. But if you have, like, you work online, you're retired or all that, and you live in a vehicle and you have pets, you know what? Turn your key and leave and find, like, a better zone. If you are location tied for any reason and you have a day job, or any kind of job that's going to obligate you to hours during the day that you don't have control of, then it becomes, well, what about my pets when I'm not there? And honestly, like 50% of the time, like spring, fall, and even summer, the winter, not a big deal. But like something like this summer heat or like extreme freezing. Mickey, hi. Are you chasing Felix around? Yes, you are. Then that's where it gets complicated. It's the combination of the three where like a lot of more difficulties arrive, more so than any of the two combined. Because like when I didn't have pets, whatever, I'll go to the library all day. It's usually cooler at night. Come back to the vehicle at night, go to bed. On a day I was off, and on a day I was working, I was at work all day, and then I come back evening, I'm maybe make some dinner and go to bed. But once I had the pets, all of those obligations changed if you also added in location-based employment. When I first got Mickey, I was doing a lot of YouTube, and I was doing a lot of short-term work. So obligations for a day here and there, a week here and there, or like places where like he was with me or so close to being with me, it was almost insignificant. This is the first time I've really had an obligation where it's like, I am leaving you home for a long time without me. And then my dumb self went and got a second cat. So there we go. But I do think the second cat is better for Mickey. And it doesn't really, in the grand scheme of things, change much, to be quite honest. Like, it hasn't been any harder for me personally to have two cats as opposed to one, because the obligation to the pet already existed because Mickey existed. So yeah. And there's Felix. They're both here again. Felix, come here. I want to show him how big you are. What are you doing? Look at this cat. He's growing like crazy. He's like, what are you doing to me? I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. Go. He's getting big so fast. Esther Stevens says, this might be old news to you, but I just saw an ad for Jackery AC. Have you seen it? No, I didn't know Jackery was making an air conditioning unit, but it's probably like the EcoFlow and the, what's that other one? I actually have one, and I was supposed to review it, and I didn't. Those are like personal units, because the one I reviewed, it was the Zero Breeze. Well, I didn't review it. I filmed the review, but honestly, it's just sitting in the box truck, and I used it once to review it, and have not used it since. And that shows you, like, it's not really good for cooling spaces. And if Jackery is just kind of imitating what EcoFlow is doing, it's a big unit that's better for a small space. Which means it's now a big unit taking up a lot of space in a small space, and it is a personal cooler. It's to cool you. So if you're sitting there hot, you can point it at you, and you can get cool. But it does not really cool the space. And I'm going to assume Jackery is kind of doing what EcoFlow is doing as far as like AC units. And for me, that wouldn't be enough for the box truck anyway. Uh, Simply C says, "Will you be going to the 2023 RTR?" I do not know. Um, I possibly have another job lined up, and the timeline of that job may interfere. So I will not know if that's possible until they release the dates for the 2023 RTR. I literally have no idea if I can. I might not be able to. Che Baker says, "Hey Dawn, will you still be working at the theater in the winter? My current contract with Oregon Shakespeare Festival is until October 15th, which is fun because my birthday is October the 18th, so just before my birthday. So I will be on this particular contract I'm on until October the 15th. I do have the holidays off, so I'll have Thanksgiving and Christmas off, basically. And if this other job works out, that'll be picking up in the new year. But there's question marks around a lot of what's going to happen next. But that's a different theater. It's not this one. Sarah, what's up? Says, Dawn! Nice to see you. JBaby007 says, "Look at that space though." Yeah. And it's technically a tiny house. It's very long. There's a whole quarter of the house that I'm not using because I basically use the kitchen and the bedroom, and there's like a front little living room area. It's almost, in some ways it's nice, in some ways it's like, this is a lot of space. You can tell how used I've gotten to like smaller spaces because I was just like, this is a lot of space. Like, Terry Newell said, "Thank you for the $10 super chat," and says, "Just got here. What's up?" What's up is we have a heat wave going on right here in Oregon. Ashland right now is, some of the days we're getting up to 120 degrees. So for the protection of the cats, I have shifted over to some housing that was available to me to use, at least to get through this heat wave. My box truck is actually parked right outside. Dystopian Bandero says, "I want a small dog so bad, but this heat is why I can't. I work full-time and I am stationary as a van dweller." And that's a perfectly responsible decision to make. I know that everybody is like, get a pet, get a pet, get a pet. But getting a pet is a big commitment, and based on your lifestyle, it just may not work for you. Or like, you may not want that obligation. I know plenty of people who absolutely love dogs and cats and animals, and they're like, but for van life, I don't want that obligation on my van life. Now, people who already have pets and then get into van life, it's like, they're not gonna, a lot of them aren't gonna give up their pets to do van life. They want to figure out a way to do it with them. And there's a lot of decision, and there are also people who go to van life and they do find a way to have their pet stay with a family member, and then they'll circle around home every once in a while and like be with a pet. But it's a big decision, and you could make the decision in one season of your life. Like when I made the decision to get Mickey, I had a lot more control over my schedule. And when life changed and I was able to come back to this job, which has been a dream job for me, this is something I really wanted to do, then I had to fit Mickey around that because he already existed. And of course Felix, but a lot of these decisions were made when there was only Mickey. So yeah, it's a big decision, and I think it's smart to know my life isn't right for an animal right now, even if I want one. But I would say, like, try to see if you can get into pet sitting. Like, I did pet sitting for a long time when I didn't have a pet of my own. And it was really great. You got to spend some time with an animal. You got to get close to them. Dog walking, I did that as well. That was wonderful. I got to meet and walk and, you know, interact with a lot of great dogs. So it's something to look into. Where you could have these interactions with an animal and you're not necessarily feeling like you're bringing an animal into a situation you can't handle. I see Felix's tail back there by the food container. It just went away. Hi, Felix. Say hi to YouTube. He's just sitting there, looking all proper. Crafty Traveler says, I didn't know you had two cats. This changed. I got Felix like a month ago, maybe. Yeah, and he introduced himself in the last live stream I did. So there wasn't much, like Mickey just showed up one day, and I didn't really do a whole big video about it. Same thing happened with Felix. A situation came up that made sense, and he was the last of a litter that hadn't been adopted, and I'd been thinking about getting a second cat. Now, ideally, I thought I might get a second cat at the end of this contract so that I could be with them more all day, but things worked out. Felix is here now. Him and Mickey got past the introductory stage in like 4 days, which was great. Around the time I got him, I did have enough time to be there for them to kind of get acclimated, and so now I have 2 cats instead of 1. Thank you, Gail, for saying, Gail, for saying adopting Felix wasn't dumb. You saved him. Okay, I have to check time. Oh, I'm gonna have to get out of here in like 5 minutes or so. So this is gonna be like a shorter live than normal. Just because I am going back to the theater, and I just wanted to fit this in because I meant to have that video edited for today, and I didn't. So I was like, I'm gonna go live, and so I have. You just back there chilling, buddy? Huh? Yeah. Hi, little baby. You are the littlest baby. So guys, Mickey got up there, and I never knew. And his head's up there. I see him. I don't know what the heck. What are you doing up there, Mickey? Look at his ears. Yes, Mickey can jump. Sometimes he surprises me how much he can jump. Shay Baker says, do you miss traveling around? Actually, the break has been nice. There was a lot of just blah, like between RTR and Schoolypalooza and sort of a little bit of time I spent after Schoolypalooza. I have always intended to be like a slow traveler. So I've never been obsessed with being a fast traveler. And I am also okay with like having a job somewhere, being there for months at a time, and then maybe the next 6 months living in a new city. So for me, like, I don't have to be in a new place every week. I do miss the freedom in my schedule to sort of choose time I could dedicate to things. That part of it I miss. I don't necessarily miss jumping through states or on a very fast timeline or anything like that. Like the downtime, the time to breathe. Like in my ideal world, like I miss the desert. Like I love like just going out and being somewhere for a few weeks. And I'm saying a few weeks because boondocking, you're only supposed to be there about 2 weeks. And then maybe going someplace not that far away for another 2 weeks. I don't have this intensity of movement. And if I can like stay somewhere for a month or two and then be somewhere else for a month or two, that's totally fine with me. There's this idea that everybody in this lifestyle has to be constantly on the go in a different state from, or in a different city, in a different place from one week to the next. But one of the reasons, like, people always bring up the mileage, the gas mileage of the box truck. But my idea with getting the box truck was for it to also be available for stuff like this when I get a job in a city where I don't have, you know, anywhere to live. Well, who cares? I'm driving my house there. I have somewhere to live while I'm there. And then when the job finishes, now this is a special situation where also there was housing available. But the idea is, like, even if housing isn't available and I get offered a job on the other side of the country, doesn't matter. I have a house I can take with me to the other side of the country. So, like, my van life has never been about this intensity of travel and jumping from place to place. But I do miss the freedom of schedule I've used to have, more so than the quote-unquote traveling, if that makes any sense. Because I always intended to build me a house. Like, that was the goal, to have, like, a tiny house on wheels. Not so much how quickly I could get from one place to another place as fast as I can. I don't know if that answers the question. Okay. So I'm gonna wrap this up in like 5 minutes. So if you want to throw questions out, I'm going to be scrolling really, really fast for like questions and stuff like that. So I'm going to be scanning and scrolling and scrolling and scanning. I might shout out anything that jumps out. Felix, what are you doing? He's behind me right now. Carrie Newell says, where I live in Northeast Wisconsin, it's still in the 50s and 60s at night. I wish. I would love 60 at night. Julianne, there's no need to pay. I have been graced this space free of charge. Simply says, does either cat seem to be jealous when you only pet or cuddle the other one? Mickey is generally more cuddly than Felix. I think Felix gets more jealous of Mickey paying attention to me than he is jealous of me paying attention to Mickey. Because Mickey will be coming to me for pets, and Felix will rub himself against Mickey like, pay attention to me. I'm pretty sure Felix likes Mickey more than me. So, he's only started to like be like, okay, I'll sit here long enough for you to pet me. Roxanberry, I am in like a little tiny house. This technically was called like an accessory unit. So where I was parked, they also have a tiny house that they use for like visitors and guests. It's basically an accessory dwelling. So it's a small like independent house, literally like on their property, that I guess you could also call it a guest house or in-law apartment. So they're letting me stay in here while there's a heat wave going on. Christy says, is the rising cost of gas a problem or becoming a problem for you or other people you know? I mean, it's a problem for everybody, but right now I walk a lot. Like, there are certain errands I'll run on my day off. And every time I go to the gas station, I put about $100 in the tank and it doesn't even fill it up. But, like, there's a few errands I run out in Medford. And so I wait for that on my day off. But I'm walking distance from, like, a grocery store, which is the thing I go to the most. I even go there for things like cat litter and, like, my toiletries. I'll pick up, like, body wash and stuff from that Safeway because it's walking distance, and it's on the way from me. From leaving here to go to work and from work back here. So a lot of the things, like if I need stuff during the week, I can grab it there. And then there are a select few things I might take care of on my day off, and that's the most driving I'm doing right now. so in that way, it hasn't like killed me again because I'm not traveling around. But it still hurts to go. I think going to the gas station hurts everybody. It's just going to affect you by different degrees depending on sort of what are your obligations to life right now. I am not looking forward to end of contract because I am worried about the gas it's going to take to get me from here to where I need to go next. Like, that does have me worried. Because I don't want to, you know, burn through money when I leave here between now and hopefully the start of my next job. There are some upgrades I wanted to make to the box truck that I've decided not to make. Because I'm like, these are wants, not needs. They will improve the situation. I mean, one of the things I want to do is I actually want to get rid of the Jackery and get some lithium batteries and a charge controller. I already have solar. I'm just running the solar to the Jackery. I want to upgrade the solar. And this is stuff I really want to do. But also, I know I'm going to be at end of contract in a couple of months. And, like, I want to save that money. So I'm like, do I need it? No. You know, it'll make things better. It'll certainly make the box truck more sustainable in a way it's not now. Like, I'll have, you know, some concerns relieved. I may not have to use the generator as much if I can upgrade the solar a little bit. But also, what I have now worked. And if I need to run my generator and plug myself into the generator to get through a day, that's been working for like the past year. So it's not so much of a need that I want to put all the money I would have to put through to upgrade our power system. And it's definitely something that can wait. And so I've decided to put it on the back burner until I know for sure about what's going to happen with my next job coming up. Fingers crossed. So yeah, that's where that is right now. Christine Natalie says, best wishes, wonderful to see you and your fur babies. Let me check this. Okay. All right. Shar Mills, thank you for the $25 super chat. Chipping in for house money. Gotta stay cool. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you to everybody who popped in. I'm gonna go head to the theater. Mickey's gonna be mad at me because I'm leaving again. For anybody who can't see him, that's his ears up there because he's a jumping master. And I think Felix is probably annoyed that he can't get up there yet. But I think he'll get there and Felix is gone. He'll get there one day. I think one day Mickey's going to be surprised and Felix is going to be able to jump to the same heights he can. Because even in the box truck now, Mickey can go from the floor to the bed. And Felix has to, like, jump on the cat tree, jump on the countertop, and go up through the side to get on the bed, so it takes him longer, whereas Mickey does it in one leap. And one day Felix is going to surprise him. Mickey's going to jump, and Felix is going to jump right behind him. He's going to be like, damn, I can't do this anymore. Alright, Mickey, say bye to YouTube. I see your ears all the way up there. I see you, Mickey. Why are you trying to hide? I don't know where Felix is, but I'm sure he says bye as well. Thank you to everybody for coming, and I will see you in the next video. Or next live stream. Whatever works the best.